looking to add some improvements. Will the two sides be able to work out a deal together? They've done it before. Can they do it again? We will talk about that. Also, the Blackhawks today announced the trading of a legend. Another piece of the 3 Cups in 5 years dynasty is gone. Duncan Keith is no longer with the club. We will reminisce and talk about good old Keith number 2 and talk about what that signals for the future of the franchise. And then finally, we are 2 weeks away from the start of training camp in the NFL. It's been a few weeks since we've talked about the Bears. Let's check in on how things are going up in Lake Forest, and will Allen Robinson be signing a long-term deal in time? All that and more here on Chi-Town Weekly. Everybody buckle on up. Let's have some fun. And once again, welcome into Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. I am so glad and thankful that you are here, taking time out of your day to talk sports with me about the best sports city in the U.S. of A. Before we get any further, of course, we have to acknowledge our sponsor for this week, the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. You can find them on social media, Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California_Warriors, Facebook, search Southern California Warriors. And then IE Sports Radio, we are, of course, available on all the major platforms. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram by searching at IE Sports Radio. Facebook, search IE Sports Radio. And our website is www.iesportsradio.com. Oh, we got a little bit of fun going in the chat room already. Taryn bringing up how I said Chicago is the best sports town in the U.S., LA would like to have a word with that. Well, the one comment I'd have with that is you don't see Cubs fans waiting until the 4th or 5th inning to show up to baseball games, Taryn. We'll start there with that conversation, and I'll put the ball back in your court. If you want to hop on into the chat and join in the fun, absolutely you can. If you are listening live here on Spreaker, hop on in. Make a username for yourself if you haven't already. It's free. Hop on in. You can pop into the chat, talk with myself or Taryn or anybody else that happens to be in there throughout the show. We have fun and banter back and forth that way. Other ways you can interact with the show. Of course, you heard IE Sports Radio. We are on Twitter. This show is on Twitter. Find us at IESRC. Or you can follow along with my personal page on Twitter at Adam_Karnick. But no matter what, I am just glad you are here for the sports conversation. We've got quite a bit to go through tonight. I wanted to start things off with the baseball. We were talking that in the last show, repping to NorCal Sports with Gina G. She did an excellent job. You can catch her on Mondays right before our show. We were talking a little bit of baseball as we transitioned out there at the end of her show. And so I wanted to start there tonight with us. So we're at the All-Star break, the traditional halfway point. Both the Cubs and the Sox, they've played a little more than half of their games at this point, but in baseball parlance, the All-Star game no matter where it falls, is always the halfway point. Tonight's the home run derby. I do look forward to watching some of that as we get into that tonight. That's going to be coming up here in a little bit. But the big thing, of course, will be the game tomorrow night. And the Sox got a new addition to the American League roster in shortstop Tim Anderson. He got added in when Jose Altuve dropped out over the weekend. So congratulations to Tim Anderson. Very, very deserving of him for the Sox to get in. So another position player. Both the Cubs and the Sox have one position player and then a couple of pitchers. Both closers from both sides of town made it as well. So Chicago will be very well taken care of and well represented in the All-Star game tomorrow night. But the two clubs themselves find themselves in very opposite directions as we hit the halfway point. The Sox, life is looking up. The Sox are 19 games over 500 at 54-35. They have a run differential of 117, second best in second best in the American League and third best in all of baseball. Second in the American League behind only the Houston Astros at 136. And then the Dodgers have the best run differential right now at 142 out in the National League West. But the Sox won 7 out of their last 10 to come out of the break, including sweeping the Baltimore Orioles over the weekend, including winning in extra innings, a come-from-behind extra innings win yesterday, getting the job done out in Baltimore and taking care of the Orioles are just, my gosh. Orioles are a bad baseball team. They are more games under 500 than they have wins this season. They'd need another 33 wins to climb to 500. They have 28 wins on the year. So Baltimore, wonderful timing there. I commented on Let's Whine About Sports last night. Mike is amongst other things, he is a Baltimore Orioles fan, and I commented on his show. Thank you for Baltimore giving the Sox such a nice landing spot into the All-Star break. Speaking of Gina, there's Gina in the chat room. Good evening, Gina. I was starting off. I wanted to dovetail off of the conversation we were having there at the end of your show, talking some baseball, and I wanted to start off talking some baseball with us tonight. The White Sox are looking great. 54-35, 19 games over 500. That is the high water mark for them on this season. And things are looking great overall. The starting pitching has obviously been the strength for this team. You've got Lance Lynn representing that in the All-Star game for the White Sox. Carlos Rodon threw a no-hitter earlier in the year and has been just absolutely lights out this season. Dallas Keuchel being the veteran presence there. And so you wonder what the Sox are obviously in a position to be looking to buy at the All-Star at the trade deadline here in a few weeks. And at first you'd think, oh well, yeah, they've got to do something. Their run support clearly has not been what you'd want it to be. They're not hitting home runs like you would want to see as a team. They're one of the lowest as far as team home run hitters are concerned. They're struggling to do that. But you figured Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert, as we have talked numerous times throughout this season, that you're missing two of your top run producers, home run hitters. So it was to be somewhat expected that you were going to be down in that category overall and having some trouble as a team trying to get home runs. Well, Aloy is on the way back. He's down in the minor leagues. He's down in Charlotte. He's at Winston-Salem right now, and then he's going to be in Charlotte. The team announced it here probably in the next week or so. They're going to move him up from AA to AAA. He is just hitting right now. They are using him exclusively as a designated hitter down in the minors. They're probably going to... Aloy has said he wants to continue to play left field. He does not want to exclusively be the designated hitter. All right, we'll see how that works, how that goes. I feel like at this point, for his own safety and protection, you need him to be the designated hitter long term. You just watch him play in left field and you get scared, not only just for his health, but the dude doesn't play left field very well at all. He definitely benefits from having traditionally Luis Robert over there in center field, who can darn near cover the entire outfield by himself. Or just, okay, Luis, okay, Eloy, you stand here. If it's not hit directly to you, don't move. Robert's going to come over and get it, okay? Just don't get hurt. We need your bat. Yes, we know you want to be out there running around and having fun, but we need your bat in the lineup. You can't hurt yourself anymore out there in the outfield. And then it's sounding like Luis Robert may be coming back. So Aloy, certainly by August, he should be back. He might even be back up with the Major League club yet this month. So you're getting reinforcements there. Luis Robert, it sounds like, is on track to come back sometime in August, which is excellent. So you're getting some offensive reinforcements already. So I don't know that the Sox need to go out and look at acquiring anything as far as bats are concerned. You could argue taking a rental for second base. They're not going to be getting Nick Madrigal back at all this season, so you could make the argument and state the case that getting a second baseman could be an upgrade. But other than that, really, they're getting their trade deadline acquisitions just by getting healthy, by getting Eloy and getting Robert back. That's going to be a huge boost. Then there's the Cubs on the other side. Of course, they had the 11-game losing streak that finally, mercifully, came to an end last week with the win over the Phillies. But they're still... They've got to be sellers. There's no way. Jed Hoyer came out and said as much last week during the losing streak that, those last 2 weeks, suddenly they had to completely turn around. He was thinking about buying. He was thinking about trying to shore up some holes on the roster. There were always going to be too many holes to try and shore up in one trade deadline, but now that they dropped 11 in a row, they dropped, I think it was 13 out of their final 15 games before the All-Star break, and then they had the rain out yesterday. There wasn't any actual rain that was falling. It had rained in the morning. It wasn't raining at game time. We'll get into that in a second. I've got a odd, goofy idea for MLB. I'm not even sure if I like it, but I want to throw it out there and see what you guys think. That we'll get on that in just a minute. But the Cubs are definitely now going to be selling. Their starting rotation, they've got so many holes. Jake Arrieta, they officially put on the injured list, basically because he's been a bad pitcher. They don't have anybody. Ryan Tepera was down for the last couple of weeks, so the bullpen's taxed. You don't have any depth in your starting rotation. I'm not sure what you could do anymore to help this team. They don't have the depth in the farm system to really go out and acquire A-plus major league talent, and you are going to need at least a starter, probably two, to consider making a deep run. So I think the Cubs are absolutely selling at the trade deadline, which makes it interesting because the big names that obviously are going to pop up for the Cubs for trading, and we're going to talk about these guys a lot over the next couple of episodes, the next couple of weeks, because of the way the calendar falls. This has all got to happen before the 31st. We've got basically 2 more weeks before the trade deadline. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Cubs will do. I think an obvious one is Craig Kimbrell. You've got one of the best closers in the game that you used him, I think, twice over the last 2.5 weeks to close out the first half, in part because you were on that 11-game losing streak. You weren't using him a lot. A 500 baseball team that is going to be looking to sell does not need a high-end closer. I would expect Craig Kimbrell to get sold, and he's got a team option for next year, so you could possibly get a little bit more in acquisitions there for him because he's not a pure rental. You would have him for next season. The other guy to me that I feel is gone at this point is Chris Bryant. And I hate saying that because Chris Bryant's my favorite Cub. He's my favorite player. But it's felt all along that he wasn't going to come back. That's always been the narrative around him, fair or not. And Bryant has on multiple occasions said that's not fair. That anybody when he's been asked directly, he has never said that he would have a problem coming back with the Cubs. But his agent has that reputation of going and getting the best deal, and that usually involves not playing for the team that drafted him. So it's always kind of felt like Bryant's going to be gone. And he's had such a strong first half. And I've talked about it before, being so versatile, playing third base, playing every outfield position, playing both corner infield spots, and dabbling at second base a little bit. He's so versatile. Any club out there that's looking to add, be it Boston, which would seem like such a natural fit for Bryant because that's the organization his dad played in growing up, or the Blue Jays, or the Giants, or any team that's looking to add, that you feel like, hey, we've got a hole somewhere where we could really use a bat at this spot, that's your spot. The one exception I would say there is the White Sox. Second base would be Chris Bryant is not an everyday second baseman. You could put him in there in an emergency. Hey, we need a guy. Chris, do you mind? Yeah, I'll go play second base today. But to play him there every day, that's not a good spot for him. He's not a middle infielder by trade. He's a corner infielder or an outfielder. He's got range, but he's so big and tall to constantly be getting down and handling those grounders and laying out like you have to for the middle infield all the time. He's not the right guy for it. Not that he couldn't do it and be successful, but day in and day out, it would be taxing on him. So the White Sox would be one team where I couldn't see Bryant going there. But other teams that are in need of just a bat in the lineup, you can figure out a way to get Bryant there. Javier Baez is another one. I could see Baez going to the Sox, actually. I could see Baez going to the White Sox. I could also see him. I read an MLB piece last night that proposed trade with the Athletics out in Oakland. And Gina, that's why I brought it up on your show, to throw him out there to Oakland. Oakland is in desperate need of offensive help at the shortstop position. Basically, the A's offensively have been the worst team at the shortstop position. We talked a few weeks ago about all those crazy stats. One was weighted runs created plus. That's a stat where it's basically the average is 100. They make a simple, they take a lot of data, compile it down into one basic number. 100 is the average. If you're above 100, you're an above average player offensively. If you are below 100, you are below average. The A's, as a team, collectively at shortstop, have a weighted runs created plus score of 61 this season. Yuck. That is significantly below average. Baez would be an improvement there. Baez is the literal definition of boom or bust. He is definitely a guy, I mean, there's a reason that he leads the majors in strikeouts, and he has an on-base percentage of below 300. The guy he does not walk, and he will swing at anything and everything. You get him in an 0-2 count, I don't know why in the world you would ever give him a pitch in the strike zone. It would just be, all right, I'm going to throw these next 4 pitches out of the zone, and I dare you to not swing at one of them because I don't think you can do it. But, man, when he connects and when he gets hot, he's very streaky. But, man, when he gets hot, look out. He can carry a team. He's done it before. So to throw him out there in Oakland would be very exciting for the A's, would give them a boost. And the AL West is there to be had. There's not really a strong team out west right now. Looking at the current AL West standings, the A's are 55-36. The Astros are 55-36. Oakland's right behind him at 52-40. So 3.5 back. That division's there to be had. So for the A's, getting Baez, yes, you're gonna have to deal with some streakiness with him, but dude plays with heart. He's fun to watch. Gina referenced at the end of her show, asking, didn't Baez make a mistake the other week? Yes, he did have a couple weeks ago where he did not. He made a mistake on the base paths where he forgot how many outs there were and got picked off of first. He was running on a fly ball and was basically at third base when the ball was caught. They just threw it to first. He didn't even bother running back to first because he knew he'd been had. And manager David Ross had a problem with that and sat him for the rest of the game. But Baez is a guy that he gives you a lot of energy. He plays with a lot of heart. He wears his passion on his sleeves. He's a fun dude. So I would like to see him. That would be an interesting move out to Oakland. Depending on what the Cubs would get back, that would be a very interesting move. I think the one way that the Cubs and Sox could help each other at this point, the Sox need to get some bullpen arms. Taryn, how does that happen? He just flat out forgot how many outs there were. He thought there were 2 outs when there was only 1. He took off on that fly ball because, hey, there's 2 outs. If it's caught, oh well. If it's not, I want to make sure I score. And the ball was caught. He realized, oh no, there was only 1 out. And they doubled him off of first, and that was that. He lost track. It lost track. That's one of the things with Javi is he will drive you nuts like that, but then other times he will have, you think back to, gosh, what was that, a month ago now, when they were in Pittsburgh, and he managed to induce He managed to induce a rundown between first and home, a play that's literally never happened in baseball because it never should happen. But he managed to convince the Pirates first baseman that, hey, you should come chase me. You have to tag me out because I'm not running towards first base. Never mind, it's the only place I can go. It allowed Contreras to score. He got all the way out to second on the play. he has for every amazing moment, for every 2 or 3 amazing moments he will have a groaner of, oh my God, Javi, what are you thinking? But he makes up for it. He's an amazingly fun player to watch. You get him on a team that's winning, he will produce for you. He was part of the World Series team. He was an MVP candidate the year after that. That was his best year, was the year after that. Javi will help a team that's making a playoff push. The Sox, I want to close on the Sox real quick, and then we have got to take a break. Oh my goodness, we have got to take a break. Want to close on the Sox real quick. The one way I could see the Sox and Cubs helping each other would be with the bullpen. The Cubs bullpen for a stretch there was absolutely phenomenal. The White Sox bullpen has struggled all season long. That's a way I think they could help each other. The Sox probably don't need much. Maybe just one good guy. Maybe either Tepera or Andrew Chafin, whichever one the Cubs would feel happier giving up. And that might be enough to solidify the Sox pen once Michael Kopech is completely recovered from his injury and ready to go. And he's close. I mean, he's already pitched some and had success. So the Sox won't need much. Maybe 1 or maybe 2 bullpen arms. But I think that's a way they could help each other. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we need to bid adieu to a legend. Duncan Keith has got himself a new home. I will talk about that on the other side of a break. This is Chi-Town Weekly on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
Hey guys, it's Blake Henley, better known as H-Town Blake to some of you. Happy to announce that Bases Loaded is back in full force. We'll be bringing that high heat every Tuesday night here on IE Sports Radio. So come home, get ready, dig into that batter's box, and see if you can chase that high heat, baby. So we'll be coming to you live with all the stats, all the rundowns, all the division rivalries, and every team that's going to make the playoff push to get to that one and only October and get to the pinnacle of what baseball is, to hoist that Commissioner's Trophy when it's all said and done.
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development. But we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest owners. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Welcome to the Soccer Scoreboard Show with your host, Gabriel Montoya. This is the show for soccer, football fans, or whatever you call the beautiful game. Every week, I tackle the latest and greatest news from around the soccer world. From the English Premier League, to the World Cup, to MLS, Liga MX, and more. You can listen to the Soccer Scoreboard Show and our lineup of fantastic guests every Friday at noon here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Boy, had you told me a month ago that I would have gone 4 straight weeks talking about the Chicago Blackhawks in July, between June and July, I would not have believed you. But yet, here we are on July 12th, and for the 4th straight week, there's some Blackhawks news. Now, this one, just like last week, this is actually concerning on ice with the team news. Word had come out a week ago that defenseman Duncan Keith was willing to waive his no-trade clause under specific terms. He wanted to head out to the Pacific Northwest. Keith is a single father. He's got a young son who I believe is now 7 or 8 years old. That his parents during the season take care of him because Duncan still lives out in the Pacific Northwest in Canada, where he's from. And he's 38 years old, and at this point, he's turning 38 next week. At this point in his career, he wants to be closer to his son. And it came down today that the Blackhawks have indeed traded Duncan Keith. When the news came down, there were 2 teams to me that instantly leaped to mind. One was the Edmonton Oilers, because of how young and talented and just good that team is. To put somebody of Keith's experience and knowledge and caliber with that team, talk about a veteran presence on a championship team, he would do wonders for them. The other one that I thought of was the expansion Seattle Kraken. That again, veteran leadership with a new team. Instantly, he would have a C on his sweater for Seattle to be their leader and help bring that organization into the NHL, bring that city into the NHL. You could do worse than to have Duncan Keith be one of your first players. It came down today that he was traded to Edmonton. He is now going to be a part of the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sad. As a Blackhawks connoisseur, as a Blackhawks fan, I'm sad to see him go. Duncan Keith has been an amazing player for the last 16 seasons. Drafted by the team, brought up with the team, been playing for the Blackhawks since 2005, since playing, in the dark ages, before Taves and Kane and Coach Q and the Dynasty came up. Keith was there. We saw Brent Seabrook, Keith's longtime line mate. Brent Seabrook officially retired during this past season. We had to say goodbye to him. Now we're saying goodbye to Duncan Keith. We'll get to see Keith. Hopefully. I don't even know if the NHL has considered how traveling is going to work next season, because traveling between Canada and the U.S. still isn't 100% open. Hopefully, we'll get to see Duncan Keith at the United Center next year for a couple of games. The Oilers should be due to come to United Center a couple of times. Hopefully that's able to happen, and you know that Keith will get a massive standing ovation. And you listen to these numbers. He is second all-time on the team in regular season games played. 1,192 regular season games. The only player in team history with more is Stan Mikita, who had him by about 200 games, a little over. Keith was a 3-time All-Star, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, won the Norris Trophy, that's the playoff MVP, was constantly in the running for awards and accolades. Two-time Norris Trophy. I said that backwards. I'm sorry. He won the Conn Smythe as playoff MVP. I apologize. The 2015 Conn Smythe for playoff MVP, 2-time Norris Trophy winner. That's for the best defensiveman in the league. Also won 2 gold medals with Canada in 2010 and 2014. 105 goals, 520 assists. And his time on the ice, he was constantly one of the team leaders in time on the ice. For his career, averaged effectively 25 minutes of ice time per night. Top defensive pairing all the time. Will absolutely go down as one of the best players of all time. He's already in the NHL's list of the top 100 players in league history. He will absolutely be a Hall of Famer when he decides to hang up his skates. Best of luck going forward, Keith. Thank you for all the memories, all the moments, all the great times. Scored what proved to be the cup-winning goal in 2015 against Tampa Bay. And one of just the most memorable putbacks. That shot. That you want to talk about. I'll give you 2 plays to encompass Duncan Keith. One was that cup-winning goal against Tampa Bay in 2015. That game was a goalie battle. Corey Crawford for the Hawks ultimately got the shutout in that game. The Lightning goalie had been playing hurt the entire series, but was playing out of his mind. Keith took a shot from the very high slot, just in front of the blue line, in the middle between the 2 face-off dots, high slot area, great scoring chance. Goalie made the save, but couldn't corral it, couldn't hold it. Bounced off his pads and became a loose puck in the middle, prime scoring area. Keith worked his way around, got his own rebound, and absolutely buried it while the goalie was down and out. Hard-working, outstanding high-effort goal that ultimately proved to be the game. It wasn't the last goal of the game, but it proved to be the cup-winning goal in 2015. The other memory, of course, I'll always have, my wife and I still laugh about this one, when he took a puck to the teeth in a playoff game, was down and out on the ice for a couple minutes. They got him off, numbed him up, found the teeth there on the ice, got those off, and then, sure as shooting, I'm a hockey player, I'm a defensive man, you can't keep me off the ice, went out, missing 3 or 4 of his front teeth, went out and finished the game, was the player of the game. As he's being interviewed off the ice, he turned to the crowd with a hole in his mouth and, "Anybody know a good dentist?" Just a hard working man. Best of luck to you, Duncan Keith. I hope this works for you and your family. I hope that being out there in Edmonton works out well for you. Let's look at the actual trade for a minute. Let's look at the actual trade for a second here. Keith was not the only guy that got moved in the deal. The actual full deal just got made official just about an hour ago by Pierre LeBrun. The Hawks send Duncan Keith and one of their minor league forwards, Tim Soderlund. They get back young defenseman Caleb Jones and a conditional draft pick in next year's draft from the Oilers. It's set right now to be a third-round pick. However, it could become a second-round pick if a couple of things happen. Basically, Edmonton's got to make it to the Stanley Cup final. The official wording is Edmonton needs to win 3 rounds in the playoffs. Well, there's only 4 rounds to be had, so there you go. Basically, Edmonton's got to make the Stanley Cup final, and if Duncan Keith is among the top 4 Oilers in ice time during the playoffs. So if he stays healthy and he's out there and contributing. Keith's ice time and his stats, of course, they've gone down as he's gotten older. I mean, you're looking, he only averaged 23 and a half minutes this past season. He averaged just over 23 minutes of ice time back in the 18-19 season. He was averaging about 24 and a half in the 19-20 season before the pandemic stopped everything. His plus minus was horrible this last year. It was minus 13 for those that don't speak hockey. Plus minus, it's basically how many more goals were scored by your team or the other team while you were on the ice. If it's a positive number, your team scored more goals. If it's a negative number, the other team scored more goals while you were on the ice. It's not as useful for forwards, but it's very useful for defensive men because you're on the ice more, and obviously your primary job is to help stop the other team from scoring. Keith finished with a plus minus this past season of negative 13. Yeah, that's not good. It was all the way down to negative 20 to minus 29 in the 17-18 season. That's not all on Keith. You know, that 17-18 season in particular, the Hawks' defense was god awful, and they were desperate to find somebody to pair Keith with because Seabrook was bad and then finally hurt. So that contributed to some of it. You're trying to learn with a new kid on the fly. Keith can still contribute and still help on a cup-winning team. So I have no problems with that. I'm not saying that it's going to be a second-round pick. I'm not saying, all right, back it up, count on it being a second-round pick. I wouldn't be shocked at all, though, if it turns into a second-round pick. As for the young man that the Hawks themselves have acquired in the deal, the young Caleb Jones, he's had some up and down in a little bit of time in the NHL with Edmonton. He's 24 years old. When does he turn? He just turned 24 just last month. So he's going to be 24 this season during the season. He was a 4th round pick of Edmonton back in 2015. He's played all of 93 games so far in the NHL. He made his NHL debut in the 18-19 season, played 17 games. He's struggled. He's got an overall plus-minus of -17, -9 his first year, -1 in 1920, and then -7 this past year. So he's struggled a little bit, but he's young. He's 24. The Hawks have had some success with some of their other young defensemen. Hopefully they can mold him and shape him and work with him a little bit. We'll see what this has in store for the Hawks. But big news that came down today. Wanted to get that in the show. All right, going to take one more quick break, and then it has been far too long since we have talked about the Bears. Let's correct that wrong here in the next segment. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Down! Green team! Set! Hey!
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and spending time with me here this week. The chat room has gotten very active this week. I love it, seeing everybody in here. Gina and Brennan and Davidson, Taryn, he's getting ready for his show, Set Point, coming up right after this. Good to see everybody there. Thank you for all the kind words and for hanging out with us. All right. We have got time for one more quick little segment so we can get out of here for Taryn tonight. We have gone far too long without talking about the Bears, and we are just 2 weeks away from training camp. The big story right now for the Bears is, will Allen Robinson sign a long-term deal before Friday's deadline? Of course, you remember Allen Robinson was hit with the franchise tag, so he's got effectively a one-year deal for just under $18 million. A year and a half ago, he would have not hesitated to sign a long-term deal with the Bears. Flash forward 18 months later, the Bears have yanked his chain as far as the numbers are concerned. I can't, and report came out this past week that it has been months since the two sides have had a serious talk about a contract extension. I see no way that a deal gets done. And at this point, I see a lot of people, both on Bears Twitter and on Bears Facebook, that are just saying, just sign the man, sign him. What are you waiting for? Sign him. Well, it takes two to tango. At this point, if I'm Allen Robinson, I'm 100% betting on myself. I bet on myself last year, and it worked. I had a great year. Now, the Bears turn around and franchise tagged me. That was due in part because of the salary cap going way down because of the pandemic. If I'm Allen Robinson this year, I'm looking at it and saying, I'm betting on myself. I know I can produce. I'm going to have a legit quarterback throwing passes to me at some point, because we know at some point Justin Fields is getting out there. Justin Fields is actually reporting to training camp sometime this week, he said. I don't know what exactly he's going to do there for 2 weeks ahead of time, but he's reporting to training camp this week to get a head start and working on things. So you know Fields is getting out there at some point this season. Fields will instantly be the best quarterback that Robinson's had throwing to him in his career. So if I'm Robinson, I feel like my numbers are going to go up. My stats are going to improve, and the salary cap for next year is going to be massive. It's going to go up potentially as much as $20 million compared to this year. This year we're in the 185 range. Next year we're going to be in the 205 million range for everybody. Teams are going to have cap space again. They're going to have money to spend. He feels he's worth more in the 24 to, at this point he probably feels he's more worth in the 22 to $25 million a year range. It will get very expensive for the Bears to tag him a second time. I would be shocked if the Bears would tag him again next offseason. If I'm Allen Robinson, I have no interest in a long-term deal with the Bears at this point. I'm betting on myself to have a spectacular season and to hit the open market and to then make bank with somebody who will value what I bring to a team as far as skills and commodity there more than the Bears have. And it's too bad because Allen Robinson is a guy that the Bears should have locked up. They should have locked him up a year ago. It's not uncommon that General Manager Ryan Pace will do these Labor Day deals. Allen Robinson is somebody that they should have taken care of a year ago. They should have taken care of him a year and a half ago. It shouldn't even have taken to last Labor Day. They should have gotten him locked up and taken care of. I wish they would have done it at some point this offseason because it would free up cap space. The way they could structure the deal, it would free up some cap space for the Bears this year to go out and do some things that they still could have needed to do. But I understand why, if I'm Allen Robinson, I'd have no interest in signing a long-term deal at this point unless you make it just insanely good. And the Bears don't have the money to make it insanely good right now. So I'm not expecting anything to happen by Friday's deadline. But I've been wrong before. We'll see. Maybe they've got a trick up their sleeves and can make some magic happen. All right, that does it for our show this week. I want to say thank you to our sponsor, the Southern California Warriors, for once again sponsoring not only my show, but all the shows here on IE Sports. You can catch all of them. You can catch Gina at Reppin' North Cal Sports right before us every week here on Mondays. You can catch Davidson doing Fast Break every Sunday in Dentarius breaking down the NBA Finals. Who knows, by this Sunday the Finals might be done. We'll find out. You can catch Brennan doing an awesome show. He had his long-anticipated IE Sports debut last Tuesday. You can catch him tomorrow night with Red River Rush. Catch up all the good shows here on IE Sports. Go to our website, check them out, see what's there. I promise there will be a sports itch that we will scratch for you, including coming up Taryn Rodriguez on Set Point, talking all things volleyball, doing an amazing job. He's been talking about the NBA a lot. Chicago had an NBA team, the Untouchables. I love that team name. Unfortunately, they got bumped from the playoffs last week, so I can't learn more about them. But maybe he'll talk about some Olympic team beach volleyball coming up. Let's find out. We'll see on his show. So thank you to everybody hanging out in the chat rooms. Thank you to Larry for all the hard work you do here at IE Sports. It is much appreciated, man. Finally, thank you to the listeners for continuing to come in week in, week out. I love talking sports with you guys. It is wonderful. And I want one last shout out to my lovely, lovely, lovely wife. Today is our 7th anniversary. I cannot believe she has put up with me for 7 years, but it's our lucky number 7 tonight. I love you, honey. I love you so much. Mwah! Until next week, everybody be good, be safe. We'll see you then.